Central Myanmar was jolted by two powerful earthquakes measuring 7.7 and 6.4 magnitude early Friday morning, sending shockwaves that were in fact felt as far as neighboring Thailand. Collapsed buildings and bridges, shaking skyscrapers with water from infinity pools falling hundreds of feet to the ground. The visuals on your screen, and panicked people running out onto the streets. These are the scenes that followed the massive quakes. Now, the earthquake struck 18 kilometers from the city of Sagaing in Myanmar at 12:50 p.m. local time Friday. Now, reports suggest that mild tremors were also reported from Kolkata in India's Bengal and parts of Manipur, as well as Dhaka and Chattogram in Bangladesh. Now, within minutes, there were videos and photographs on X showing the impact in Bangkok, where a state of emergency has in fact also been declared, and in Myanmar as well. Meanwhile, a scary video surfacing from Myanmar showed an under-construction skyscraper collapsing entirely. As many as 43 people are believed to be missing in that one single incident. Now listen in to Jerry Harmer from the Associated Press as he shares what he experienced during the massive quakes in Ground Zero.
Well, this was an absolutely huge shock here. I was sitting at home and then I heard what sounded like ticking, and I thought maybe it was the washing machine, but I got up to have a look and the washing machine wasn't on, and it was then that I realized that I was swaying and I was becoming dizzy. And then I heard people shouting and it became clear what it was. So as you can see around me, even now it's probably 45 minutes on from what happened. People are still out here. These are shop workers, restaurant workers, people from condos, residents, and nobody knows what's going on. No one really wants to go back in, not sure if the buildings are even safe. It went on for, it must have been 5 minutes perhaps, it felt like it. And I'm still quite shaken by it. I mean, I've been in Bangkok nearly 30 years now. We've had aftershocks before from events in say, Myanmar, but I've never known one as big as this.
In fact, my colleague Disha Bagchi joins us for more on the latest on the story. Disha, what's the latest you're picking up from the ground? How many injuries and fatalities, God forbid, have taken place?
So Arjun, as of now, we do not have a confirmed number of how many casualties and injuries have taken place in this massive, powerful earthquake that has hit Thailand and Myanmar. So a 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit central Myanmar earlier today, while a 7.2 magnitude earthquake hit Bangkok. And visuals have shown that, large buildings have collapsed and there's blocked roads everywhere, and right now there's a situation of chaos in Bangkok, and in fact a state of emergency has been declared in Bangkok by the Thai Prime Minister, and really people are trying to get control of the situation. And in fact an iconic Eva bridge in Myanmar has in fact collapsed during this earthquake, so massive destruction. It is yet to be seen just how bad the condition is there right now, and in fact the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in fact now tweeted and said that he's concerned about the situation and he's praying for the safety of all who are in the country, and India has already pitched in and is ready to offer any and possible assistance to both Thailand and Myanmar. To remind our viewers, Prime Minister Modi was expected to visit Thailand and Sri Lanka next week, in fact to attend the BIMSTEC summit in Thailand. It is yet to be seen whether that visit will still continue given this massive earthquake and the level of destruction that we are seeing right now in the visuals that have come out from the earthquake. So it is yet to be seen just how bad the destruction is, and we'll keep you updated on as and when we get more details regarding the earthquake and the number of casualties and people injured. Back to you.
So thank you so much for getting us the latest, Disha. For our viewers just joining in fact, central Myanmar has been jolted by two massive earthquakes measuring 7.7 and 6.4 magnitude. Not only Myanmar, Bangkok, Thailand's Bangkok, there's been widespread damage reported from Bangkok as well. And not only that, tremors have been felt as far as Manipur and Kolkata in India and Chattogram in Bangladesh. A Russian news agencies reported early on Friday that President Vladimir Putin, in fact, suggested Ukraine could be placed under a form of a temporary administration to allow for new elections and the signature of the key accords with the aim of reaching a settlement in the 3 years long war. Putin also said he believed US President Donald Trump, who has improved ties with Moscow, sincerely wanted to end the more than 3-year conflict. Putin added that Russia was steadily moving towards the achievement of its goal in the conflict. Over in the US, a federal judge has announced he will order the US government to preserve messages from the Signal chat, where top Trump.2 officials discussed plans to, in fact, bomb Houthi targets in Yemen and discuss them real time. Now, the chat has since become the subject of a national controversy stemming from the accidental inclusion of a journalist, rather the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine, in the discussion, now which revealed sensitive military information as well. Meanwhile, on Thursday, Judge James Boasberg ruled that the administration of President Donald Trump must take measures to keep records of the full conversation between the 11th of March and the 15th of March, when the journalist had in fact access to the conversation on the Signal group. Moving northwards, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has called President Donald Trump's new tariffs on auto imports unjustified and in violation, in fact, of Canada's existing trade agreement, and has also said that Ottawa would, in fact, impose retaliatory trade actions of our own. Speaking in Ottawa, Carney promised Canada's retaliation would have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impacts here in Canada. Meanwhile, Trump on Wednesday said that he was placing 25% tariffs on auto imports, and to underscore his intention, he also stated this is permanent. Now, Carney spoke after chairing his special cabinet committee meet on U.S. relations. Listen in.
And our response to these latest tariffs is to fight, is to protect, and to build. We will fight the U.S. tariffs with retaliatory trade actions of our own that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impacts here in Canada.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting Greenland on Friday following President Donald Trump's renewed push, in fact, for U.S. control over the Danish territory. Now, the trip, which has been scaled back after criticism, includes a visit to the U.S. military base at Tifuk, but skips a controversial dog sled race appearance that had angered Greenlandic and Danish authorities. Greenland's acting prime minister called the visit a provocation, while Denmark's prime minister has labeled it unacceptable. Now, the visit comes as Greenland's political landscape remains unsettled after recent elections, adding further to the diplomatic strain. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has reaffirmed Washington's ironclad commitment to the Mutual Defense Treaty with the Philippines. Speaking in Manila after meeting President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Hegseth emphasized that the need for deterrence in the South China Sea due to rising tensions with Beijing. He conveyed President Donald Trump's strong support for the alliance, highlighting cooperation on economic and military fronts. Marcos also welcomed the visit, calling it a strong message of U.S. commitment to regional stability. Now, the trip is part of Hegseth's broader Asia tour amid growing geopolitical challenges. Reports suggest that the United States has paused contributions to the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, for 2024 and 25. This as U.S. President Donald Trump's administration ramps up efforts to cut or slash government funding. The Trump administration is retreating from global institutions it sees as at odds with its America First economic policies. The WTO had an annual budget of around $232 million in 2024, and the United States, in fact, was due to contribute about 11% of that budget based on a fee system that is proportionate to its share of global trade. In a major overhaul, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services will lay off 10,000 workers. That's right, it'll lay off 10,000 workers and even shut down entire agencies Now, this including the ones that oversee billions of dollars in funds for addiction services and even community health centers across the country. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has criticized the department he oversees as an inefficient, sprawling bureaucracy in a video announcing the restructuring. Now, he faulted the department's 82,000 workers for the decline in America's health. Overall, the department will downsize to 62,000 positions, losing nearly a quarter of its staff, 10,000 jobs through layoffs, and another 10,000 workers who took early retirement and voluntary separation offers encouraged by President Donald Trump's administration. Public health experts, doctors, current and former HHS workers, and even congressional Democrats quickly panned Kennedy's plans, warning that they could in fact have untold consequences for millions of Americans dependent on the same. Australians will go to the polls on the 3rd of May for general elections, with high costs of living and a shortage of housing likely weighing against the government as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's centre-left Labour Party seeks a second three-year term. Now, Albanese drove to Governor-General Sam Mostyn's official residence on Friday to trigger the election and even announce the date later at a news conference at the Parliament House. Listen in.
Your vote has never been more important, and your choice has never been more clear. This election is a choice between Labor's plan to keep building or Peter Dutton's promise to cut. That is the choice.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that the country has revoked at least 300 foreign students' visas as part of President Donald Trump's efforts to clamp down, in fact, on pro-Palestinian protesters across university campuses in the country. Now, Rubio was asked to confirm how many student visas exactly has the administration revoked in its crackdown on rhetoric at universities that it considers anti-Israeli or anti-Semitic. Now, the remarks follow immigration officials' detention of a doctoral Turkish student attending Tufts University, an arrest the secretary has vehemently defended.
Maybe more. Might be more than 300 at this point. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
You're saying it could be more than 300
sure,
visas?
I hope. At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them. But we're looking every day.
Steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal is considering leaving the UK in response to the Labour government's decision to in fact abolish the non-dom tax regime, making him one of the wealthiest business figures to potentially relocate, the Financial Times has reported. Now, Mittal, who's been based in the UK for nearly 30 years now, 3 decades, has told associates that his likely departure, in fact, is driven by the government's move to end tax exemptions for certain foreign income and gains, the report stated. Ranked 7th, in fact, on the Sunday Times rich list last year with an estimated £14.9 billion fortune, Mittal owns high-value properties across Europe, the US and Asia as well. Helicopters dumped water over a burning forest in South Korea on Thursday as fire crews struggled to contain the country's worst ever wildfires, which have already claimed 28 lives, forced at least 37,000 to flee their homes, and have destroyed thousands and thousands of structures and vehicles altogether. Now, multiple wildfires fueled by strong winds and dry weather have been raging across South Korea's southeastern regions since last Friday. The government has mobilized thousands of personnel, dozens of helicopters and other equipment to, in fact, extinguish the blazes. But gusty winds are hampering their efforts. The fatalities include a pilot whose helicopter crashed during efforts to contain a fire Wednesday, and 4 firefighters and other workers who died earlier after being trapped by fast-moving flames. Meanwhile, authorities haven't disclosed details of civilian deaths, except that they are mostly in their 60s or older who found it difficult to escape quickly or who even refused orders to evacuate. Officials suspect human error caused several of these blazing wildfires.